Hey everyone, welcome back to Kevin Reviews. I just finished watching Spider-Man 2002 actually. I'm sorry, 2002. This is directed by Sam Raimi, written by, of course, everyone knows Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and David Coep. And this cast Tobey Maguire, Kristen Dunst, William Dafoe, James Franco, J.K. Simmons, as well as other actors like Cliff Robertson, Rosemary Harris, and Bruce Campbell. Even appears for a short time in this one. Um, but yeah, I remember this so fondly of this film. Um, I wasn't I in terms of my knowledge on Spider-Man, I did not read the comics before I even saw the movie in theaters around that time. Um, so I know a little bit. I mean, there was the Spider-Man animated series. I heard, a lot about the character. So this was like, the first cinematic experiences was like, this is something I want to see. Um, I also know that around the time it was originally, I think, going to be released earlier, but ever since the September 11th attack on 2001, there was a lot of things that were either reshot, retakes, added in um, to, basically delayed because of the tragedy that happened in New York. Um, so that include also a trailer in which the World Trade Centers were in the shot, and you see a spider web that included, a helicopter caught in between in the web between the two towers, and that was removed for because of what happened in 9/11. Um, so there were new scenes that were added in, basically, kind of in a way post 9/11 support for New York, America, even especially with Spider-Man donning the red, white, and blue, um, you know, outfit. So that's as much as I know, but I know I've seen, like I said, I've seen bits and pieces of the Spider-Man animated series. I didn't quite stay with it as much, but I remember enjoying it, and I remember some of the characters and what they brought to the script, what was there. But I was really excited for it, and it did not disappoint. I really love this movie. I've watched it many times over the years, and I just rewatched it again to see how it holds up. And does it hold up after all these years? Well, here are my thoughts. So I think many of us already know the story on Spider-Man because we had this, then we had the Andrew Garfield, and we had the Tom Holland version of Spider-Man. Basically a nerd, geeky kid who gets picked on a lot. Who gets bitten by a radioactive spider and becomes the Amazing Spider-Man. And after a tragedy and the loss of his Uncle Ben, he takes his words to heart, which is, "With great power comes with great responsibility." And now he becomes a superhero, saving the day. And of course, he comes across a new villain by the Green Goblin, played by William Dafoe, and we have ourselves a superhero Spider-Man movie. We also explore Peter's life, just trying to balance out with being Spider-Man and trying also to you know in love with Mary Jane, played by Kristen Dunst, and that's basically the gist of it. We have it's a superhero movie. He's fighting the Green Goblin, and that's about it. So to be honest, I do have a lot of nostalgic goggles that make me want to give it a really high rating. So maybe that's just because I'm biased and it is very nostalgic for me. Probably is nostalgic for everybody who did see it after the post 9/11, um, or who are Spider-Man fans. So and I still really enjoy it, but it's not perfect. It um, definitely hasn't quite aged well in areas, but I don't know. I still had fun with it. It's not the best out of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, not counting the Spider-Man No Way Home. Um, but it's not bad for a start, and it got everybody invested in Spider-Man live action movies. Um, so what did work? I think for the most part, Tobey Maguire did a good job with this role. Though admittedly, he's more of a Peter Parker than I think he is Spider-Man, because Spider-Man does not have doesn't in as it has when he's Spider-Man. There's not a ton of like quips or one-liners or things that he says to you know kind of like to get under the villain's skin. He doesn't really do that much in this, and but I can buy him as just Peter Parker. It makes sense. The one thing they also change is the fact that unlike the in the comics and in the animated series, Spider-Man does not have web shooters. The web shooters are are part of him that he just shoots out, and I really like that change, but I can also see why it it is a drawback, because Spider-Man uses his intelligence to create webs to take down certain villains, and granted, um, you know what, the more I think about it, yeah, I kind of do wish there were the web shooters that he in this. But granted, this is a starting point, and while I know for certain that in the sequels it doesn't quite really change, I give it credit for at least trying something, and maybe because at the time the effects weren't as at ready for something like these different kinds of webs. They just started with his regular webs in him. And that's another thing. The effects in this has not aged very gracefully, unfortunately. A lot of the look, way even Peter Parker and Green Goblin kind of move around. It's sluggish. It's rubbery. It's and the whole way the choreography is done, it feels more like a almost like a stage show than it is, you know, than actually a cinematic Marvel film, which I don't know. I can forgive, because again, this was trying to push the boundaries a little bit, but um, and I mean it worked for me back then. Doesn't work now. It doesn't quite work well now, but I still appreciate what they had, what they could offer at the time. Um, let's see, Kristen Dunst as Mary Jane. A lot of people hated her or just did not see chemistry, and I remember her not being really a bad character. I kind of like Kristen Dunst as Mary Jane. She definitely, and granted, I didn't know much about Mary Jane character in the comics or even the animated show, so forgive me if I get her character wrong. Um, but now that I kind of I know now, and rewatching again, yeah, she's not great. I don't think she's awful per se. And there's she's just kind of, again, I think frankly there's not a ton of character to work with, other than that she's given parents that are not great parents. We don't even know her parents that well, other than that they shout so much. Um, and that Peter, it's basically she's just there to be a love interest to Peter, and that's frankly about it. And she kind of goes back and forth with love interests, between like Harry, Spider-Man, Peter Parker. It's kind of complicated. I don't know. There isn't a ton to give with the character. I give it slack though, because even though as just for the first one, because I give it a little bit of slack because I mean they were starting out um, at that point. So I don't think she's terrible, but I don't think she's that great either. And even it doesn't also help that even the lines that that both even Parker and um, that Parker and Mary Jane, when they talk, it doesn't feel as natural. It kind of feels really awkward at times. And that's the thing. The writing can be really good, really bad, or in the middle. It doesn't really. It kind of flounders a little bit over the place. Um, let's see. William Defoe as Green Goblin is actually a lot of fun. Granted, a bit over the top, but he's a lot of fun, honestly, and he's very memorable. Costume kind of cheesy looking, but whatever. I get that it probably would have been difficult to actually come up with a really cool looking Green Goblin outfit, and maybe they had, and I think they had at one point, but they just decided to go for this. Whatever. It's fine, I guess. Um, the music is really good. The music really good. It's by Danny Elfman. I really do enjoy it. I especially enjoy the opening credits. It really it still gets me pumped when I to see this whenever the opening credits are on the screen, because that's what I remember actually probably the most. And when I first watched it was the opening credits. Um, excuse me. Um, let's see. Uh, the other characters are great. J.K. Simmons is pitch perfect as J. Jonah Jameson. Um, you got Bruce Campbell in there, who's is a short moment, including, but he's still a lot of fun. Macho Man Randy Savage is Bonesaw. Bonesaw is ready, and I can't do Macho Man, but you get the point that the wrestler, he has a lot of fun in this. Um, but yeah, there's still great scenes in this movie, including iconic scenes about with the upside down kiss. Um, some of the lines that are memorable, like especially from the Green Goblin. Um, I'm trying to think. The Spider-Man, the spider bite. But the death of Uncle Ben, especially, I think was well done, was effective. Cliff Robertson does a really good job as Uncle Ben, as believable. Um, but yeah, I think this is still a fun movie, though undeniably flawed. So I had to cut for a bit, uh, but in any case, how's the again the action? I think I mentioned the action. The action again, like the effects are pretty rubbery. It's slow. It doesn't look all that great. But what about some of the action scenes? The bridge is very iconic. Um, the moment, but other scenes like maybe there was a building that was on fire that I don't know. It still feels a bit staged rather than staged. And granted, it is staged, but you get the idea. It's like it's I did say it was more of a stage show than I think like a cinematic movie. Um, but um, let's see other characters. Aunt May is good. Granted, there's not quite a ton, but she's kind of the voice of reason. Kind of helps Peter out at times. So I think honestly that's about it that I have to say. Could could have it could have been better, yeah, but give it because this is a film that was originally going to be released at a time where before not I think this was before 9/11 or sometime close to 9/11, the 9/11 tax. Totally understand that they had to like um, you know shelve it for or delay it enough so to fix certain scenes that wasn't in the that wasn't originally that was originally in the film, but they had to take out for just for the sake of sensitivity for the people who have tragically lost their lives in the 9/11 attack. Um, and there are good scenes that basically like the New Yorkers. So sometimes, not all the time, but some of the New Yorkers do feel a bit cartoony, a bit not terrible, but not bad either. Well, not great either. I mean, not terrible, not great either. Just kind of in the middle. Um, I hope I'm making sense. I mean, but I think overall, I'm going to give the 2002 Spider-Man movie 4 stars. Like I said, it's definitely not perfect. It's not perfect. It over time it hasn't aged as gracefully. Um, and there could have been more time developing some of the characters. I give it credit that it actually did. Just like 15 minutes out, they decided just to go ahead, gives Peter the spider bite and stuff, the powers, including as well as William Defoe getting, the Green Goblin, like playing his Jekyll and Hyde, uh, personality. Um, but I think if they had maybe, uh, include, develop more Kristen Dunst's character more, or Mary Jane more. I think even Harry Osborn, played by James Franco, which I don't think he's not bad. I can kind of believe their friendship to a degree, but I kind of wish there was a little bit more to it. But maybe that's when the sequels come in. I think that's when the sequels come in to help kind of sort of help that along. Um, but let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else. But yeah, I think 4 stars I think is reasonable enough. It's not the perfect out of the Tobey Maguire movies, um, and I give it give a lot of cred that it did help kind of Marvel at the time, along with like Blade and X-Men, to get what the Marvel films off the ground for real this time. Um, so yeah, 4 stars. But what are your thoughts on Spider-Man 2002? Leave in the comments below, um, and feel free to like or dislike the review, and feel free to also subscribe to my channel if you want. And we're heading into, as of recording, next week is going to be in October, so I'm going to be doing like back to horror movies, Halloween movies. Um, maybe at least two movies, and then of course the Marvel film. Just kind of balance it out a little bit. Um, yeah, but and we'll see. I may try doing a fourth one. I know I missed last week with uh, Parasite, that was supposed to be last week, and I don't have a fourth one up now. And I think I'm going back to 3 reviews a week, instead of 4, because 4 is a bit too much for me, I think. So I hope you understand. So, but yeah, I look forward to Halloween, and I hope you enjoy the review, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Take care. Bye.